All right. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the Almost Perfect Cast. I'm Zephyr.
And I'm Eesa.
And I'm Watersalads.
Oh, sorry. I'm Drew. I'm worried.
You're late, is what you are.
I'm so worried that the audio's messed up. I think it's good.
Yeah. We've been playing with it like all afternoon, and it just locked in right at the last second. So we're pretty happy with that. We're doing it live. We're playing our Bill O'Reilly impression, and we're talking about pushing the limit today, which is kind of a nebulous phrase. Did we have a good description for that when we promoted this episode, or were we kind of vague about that?
I don't think we talked about it like at all. I don't think we really led anyone.
Okay, so yeah, the basic premise is like pushing the limits of your body and mental abilities to perform as best as you can at this game by whatever definition you see fit. So our guest today is Watersalads, someone who's definitely known for doing that sort of thing. We never had you on as a proper guest after Bite, did we, last year, or did we? I don't know, it's been so long.
I was on, but you weren't there, Zephyr. This is the first time we're meeting.
Oh,
nice to meet
okay.
you.
I was like, Watersalads was on.
Yeah, are you going to be there this year? Because I am.
I will not, sadly.
Oh, right, you can't. You're not defending. Oh, this is so terrible. We're never going to run into each other, and you can't come to Red October yet either. So you're repping my home city.
Yep.
You're just
Las
dodging.
Vegas.
It's you're afraid. You're afraid of Paranoia Boy. You're afraid of Bobby. You're afraid of who are the next up and comers?
Spencer and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone should be afraid of Paranoia Boy. It's a fair assessment.
We got some Ed Dante himself, right? He's going to be a Bite.
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of big names coming out to both of those tournaments. And I'm sure, but I mean, other ones, right? You hosted the Salad Bowl recently, right? That was a pretty big event.
I did, yeah. That was fun. I mean, me and those guys have been, competing back and forth, and we have a little side chat, cracking jokes and stuff. So it was more just like a friend get together, an excuse to get a bunch of margaritas, and also have a nice stream for 8 hours. It was fun.
And play the same chart over and over and over again.
Yes.
That same 21.
And shout out to Word for making a amazing clip compilation for that tournament.
I didn't even plan on that. I just was watching it for however long it was, and I kept making little clips, like just clipping cool stuff that happened as I was watching it. And at the end, I was like, I can just put all the clips together and make like one big thing. And yeah, that was fun.
Amazing.
Pretty cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then I'm actually TOing in December in Baltimore at Eclipse East with MCAT is going to be helping me TO the SMX.
How many events is she going to this year? She's also coming to Red October.
I don't know, but
she was also at the last. She was at Storm. She's at more. She's running and at more events than anyone else in the. I think she's the new TO biggest head boss, isn't she?
Oh, you know what? I can put a link in the show notes. She actually just was on the Aero panel, which they renamed to the Dance Pad. She had a whole like guest host episode of that, talking about all of that stuff, including the StepManiaX and all the other tournaments and stuff. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Yeah, she does everything.
We could do an episode on MCAT.
Yeah.
So what's going on around here? You can find you can get a hold of us in lots of places. Like I think !Discord is that how you find all the stuff here, Word? If you're watching us live on Twitch, but
I don't know if I set that stuff up yet.
I don't know. Finding the official StepManiaX Discord is easy. Finding the one we host this out of is a little less easy these days. I think we'll figure it out. More tournament updates. Like let's talk about the modern ones going on. Bite women's qualifiers have been rolled. The standard ones have been rolled. I bought my plane tickets and reserved my hotel, so I'm set. I'm traveling there. It is a done deal. I even got my TSA pre-check rolling this last weekend, so I'm good to go. A little excited. I'm going to be entering all 3 tournaments this weekend and helping run all 3 tournaments, or in what is that? Just over 3 weeks? Just under? Yeah, 3 weeks and a day. No, 3 weeks to today. I can do math.
I won't be there. Sorry.
Yeah, I won't be there. I was considering it if it was like on my week off, but it wasn't.
And then Red October, we also rolled the qualifiers for that. We did just extend the full invitational qualifiers out until early September because we wanted to make sure people that caught wind of our tournament from Byte had a week and a half to actually run those qualifiers because there are so many qualifiers going on, and anyone coming from that tournament is likely to want to try out for the Wild and the full invitational, so they're going to have to run 6 qualifiers. So we wanted to give them, a little bit of time to do a little bit of grinding, find access to a machine if they can, and come out if they want to compete. So hopefully that works out. Red October, October 6th through 8th. Be here. It's promote it. Gosh, what's our tagline? It's the biggest standalone StepManiaX tournament by basically every metric.
I don't know. But yeah, and then Dave & Buster's got a StepManiaX, the first one ever. It's the brand new Dave & Buster's in West Des Moines, Iowa. So I went out there the first day. Didn't see anyone I knew the first day, but there's a lot of people just in the Dave & Buster's. Like, a lot of people are just going up, playing 1 or 2 songs and having a good time. It's a deluxe cab, so the great big one. And then I went back 2 days after they opened, so this Wednesday, and met a couple people that I haven't seen for since 2008 or so, 2009. So that's pretty cool. We'll see about how much the actual community starts to regroup. But yeah, it's really loud inside Dave & Buster's, so cannot really hear the machine that well, unless you get them to turn up the volume. And then we had them crank it up so loud, it was I was basically deaf by the end. So I don't know how people play in loud arcades. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Just buy your own machine.
Yeah. I can't play in arcades anymore.
But I will say, talking about the deluxe cab, the screen is huge. So it is kind of different to play on, but basically what I did is I dropped down the arrow size 1 notch, and then it felt and looked just like I'm used to at home. The sync felt the same. It actually felt a little easier to play because the screen's so big, so you have more distance to see the timing if you can play visually. And since it's so loud inside there, you kind of just naturally play more visually. So yeah. Pretty good. If you have a chance to play in a deluxe cab, just drop the arrow size once, and I think you'll be fine. You'll enjoy it.
Oh, and their question back from the last topic. Where do you find the Red October? Start.gg/Red October 2023 will get you there. Red and October, the R and the O are capitalized. Start.gg. In fact, I will type it in.
There you go. And then if you go to Almost Perfect Cast on YouTube and look at our last 2 episodes, I'm pretty sure I have the link to that in the show description or in the video description for those 2 as well.
Yeah, that'll take you to the start.gg page, which links the rules document, which has the qualifiers in it. See, live Q&A on the podcast. I would love to just sit and answer questions on why we make decisions. We had the big discussion publicly about rank points versus not rank points for deciding on your qualifiers, and I think I was convinced to do it next year, but the rules for Red October are already written. Anyway, so there was another big point to So how was it besides that? I know you said that there were a couple like technical issues with it, but just the same old issues you'd have at any new arcade, any new location where they've got 100 new
yeah.
machines on site.
The player 2 bar was wobbly, and so I told them about it, and then I came back 2 days later and they hadn't fixed it, so I just took out my wrench and fixed it. And then
just took out your wrench that you just happened to have in your vehicle.
I figured they weren't gonna fix it, so I brought one the second time. And then the center panel on player 2 is like somehow raised, so it's completely flush with all the other arrow panels. So it's really odd, like especially trying to play like on doubles. You kind of lose your footing a little bit. But I don't know.
What does it feel like? Does it feel like they got the wrong piece in it, or it got a riser kit added in that it shouldn't have?
No, I think either the screws like aren't tightened, so it's like just not pushed down. But I mean, I stomped on it with my feet, so I don't think that's it. I think there's just whenever they installed it, maybe something like a wire got underneath the frame, the panel frame, so it just is keeping it from being as far down as it's supposed to. If they haven't fixed it or looked at it or anything, by the next time I go, I'm just gonna take my little hex driver and open it up, because it's probably something easy. Yeah, but it's like so busy there. There's always people waiting to play, so I didn't want to do that last time.
Self-service is fraught with peril. Words. Self-service is fraught with peril.
Yep.
I'm imagining you in Dave & Buster's with the menacing wrench that you need to tighten those bolts on the bar.
Yeah, and I was tightening it, and the lady that was going up to play next was like, "Oh, is it okay to play?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can play. I'm just tightening this because it's wobbly." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." So she just played while I was tightening it, and it was fine.
So not only is Dave & Buster's starting to get StepManiaX deluxe cabinets, but Round 1 already has their location test going on. That's really cool. They had a big event for it. They let a bunch of people show up. And that was another one that MCAT was at, MCAT and Hints. What does this mean for StepManiaX? I think it's going to mean stages are going to be harder and harder to come by. And this might be part of why there hasn't been a drop in, like 6 months, a pad drop?
I think it's been about a year.
Yeah, maybe we know where all the stages have been going. Maybe they've been getting stockpiled up somewhere for a few big orders here and there.
Yeah, it's a good thing to bring up. If you're waiting for just stage, you're going to be waiting because they fill all the orders for machines before pretty much they do individual stage sales.
Yeah, we're hoping this drives popularity of the game with the broader community, right? It brings in new players if it's at the more established arcade franchises.
Yep. I think it will. At least people will get people to come try it. And then they can talk about it from actually having experienced it.
Yeah, I'm excited about the game getting bigger and bigger. For me, I like getting people together, and I like seeing the community grow. So I am excited at the idea of this meeting next year, instead of wondering, okay, do we need 2, 3, or 4 machines for running, the big tournament I'm doing in the fall? It's going to be, do we need 4 or 6? And that to me is, it's fun to have like the big things. And it's, it'll be fun when the next time we run an online tournament, maybe we'll see some actual arcade participation going. That's the goal. I like seeing more people in the tiny niches I like to inhabit. So that's just super golden for me. So song drop? Are we going to song drop?
Yeah,
Are we
I think
out
so.
of news?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's going first? Word, I see you didn't put any notes on the doc.
Not me. Someone else go.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
So it was kind of an easier song drop. So I didn't play any of them like that much. But my favorite one was what's it called? The Naoki one.
Asian Night and 20XX.
Just the Naoki one.
Wait, what song does that sound like though? Because it sounds like some
Techno
other
World.
song. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just similar.
The other
That's true,
Naoki
yes.
song. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's really similar to Techno World sounding.
Yeah.
But it sounds good, and that one was the most fun just because of the crossover runs in the wilds, and that was so hard. I had to like play it on 0.8 or something. And eventually, I was like, I can't stop trying to do these as side switches. My brain's not programmed to not do
Oh.
side switches, but I played on 0.8 once and then made sure I did not try to side switch. And after I played on 0.8, I could finally like do it normally without trying to side switch. But it's still fun just with the crossover, the way that it is intended is really fun. And you don't see crossovers like that very much. So
No, I really liked that. It's like almost Scooby. I think you could call it some of those where it like stops at the end of one phrase and then continues. You have to stay crossed over to start the next phrase. That I like that, and I don't know how anyone could cheat that. I guess if you can double step super fast, 16th
I couldn't
notes.
cheat it on either wild or full. That just killed me on both charts. I cannot score either. I cannot. I can
yeah,
barely
the full
pass
is
the wild.
basically like the same thing except with less intense crossover run.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that section. I mean, it's a gorgeous set. It was just, oh my gosh. I looked at this and I said, this crosses 22 tech at this speed. Like maybe if this was like 20 or 30 BPM less than you had to do at this, but like at that speed, sorry to complain about miss rates when the real only true miss rate in this drop was Fiesta Night full 17.
I don't know. If they're only off by one, and then it's mostly fine.
And it's arguable, and it's because I hate those crossovers. They're so impossible for me to execute. I kept trying and trying and trying. I took it down to 0.8. I still couldn't do them. They're wonderful charts. I love them, but oh gosh, I cannot do those. And I love those patterns. I just can't do them.
And then my other favorite one was Dream of You, just because I really love the song and I love fun rhythms like it had, and it has some gallops that are fun. And there's not that very many songs with gallops actually in SMX. So yeah, I had fun playing that.
Yeah, I really liked Dream of You both on wild and dual and full, actually, all three. It just like the focus of the song or the charts was more about the rhythms and just like the steps more so than like any technical crossovers or patterns or stomps, brackets, anything like that. It was just like really focused on the rhythms, just the different quantizations of the rhythms, and just yeah, I liked that a lot. It was a really cool song.
And then my last pick is Teams. I actually got to play Teams. And I sprained my ankle playing Teams. Teams is dangerous, but not that bad. I played today and it was okay. But my favorite new team chart was Swipe. It wasn't even that high rated, but I don't know, it could be higher, I think. It just has a lot of interesting transitions with holds and jumps. Also, the video for Swipe is so amazing. I just want to say it's got like the Easter egg of who's going to show up. So I mean, Tiger, yes, I'm swiping on Tiger.
BU44? Would you swipe?
Yeah, there was BU44. There was the robot from On My Own.
Anubis.
The samurais from Cyber Kyoto.
But Bobby's in there. What did you think of Bobby?
Oh, is he? I didn't see Bobby.
There's a freezer. There's a chest freezer.
A freezer?
Yeah.
I saw something that looked like I saw something I didn't know what it was, a washing machine or what. Maybe it was the freezer that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a play on his last name because it's Frazzy. It's freezer.
Freezy. I saw Kyle on there, like the picture of Kyle that's on the artwork for Dynamo.
Oh, I haven't seen Kyle. And I haven't seen the On My Own robot.
It's the one where he has like the big goggles. Yeah.
I haven't seen Chiawase Kid either.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Chiawase's in there. And then your icon, Zephyr, what is it? Is it the ladybug. So that's on there too. But and then I also just really quick want to say, since I played team charts, that which one? Night in Motion, right? Night in Motion is also amazing on team. So play Swipe and Night in Motion on team, okay, people?
Galactical was better from that drop, just saying.
I don't know. I played them all,
Galactical's
and Night in
amazing.
Motion was my favorite. It had the craziest crossover, so many crossing over. I like cheeky little hold tap to the other side. Yeah, Night in Motion.
All right, Watersalads. Do you have any charts you want to talk about?
Sure. I didn't make notes, but I'll try my best. I did want to mention I heard through the grapevine that there are more than one Kyle profile in the swipe video that are possible, but they're the rarest. Kyle is the
Ooh,
rarest thing you'll
rarest.
see.
The
It's
shiny.
the rare drop.
Very shiny. I think Swipe was one of my favorite songs of this drop and one of my least favorite songs to play in this game because I could not get the timing down. I don't know what it was. It's
I
something to
think
do
it's
with me.
more fun on full than on wild.
It's really fun, but
Duel's really fun too.
it's tough to score. And then Fiesta Night full 21 full plus. I heard somebody else say that the transitions that they put in that chart at that speed are approaching like the limit of still being fun to play.
Oh, I
Because-
think, is that the one that has the spins? Or is that
It has
the
a-
other?
It
Is that
starts
the
off
other
like
one?
right at the beginning with like some hard transitions, but I double stepped them and I made it.
Yeah, it's got some transitions like that forego the center panel, almost like a DDR doubles chart. And at speed, it can be a little uncomfortable. But
Yeah,
it's okay. It's still
I
fun.
know like the whole team basically makes all the charts now, but I feel like what you just said about transitions without the center panel, that's a very like J Bean thing. He does a lot of 8-panel doubles
'Cause
transitions.
He's old. Because he's old, yes.
I don't know. That's just something that he does in some of his charts.
Could have
So I'm
been
wondering if he was
Will-
the Genesis maker for the chart, and then the whole team like finished it maybe.
and yeah, I'll just echo what Eesa said about my God, I'm blanking already. Asian Night
Maggie?
in 20XX and Dream of You being like just novel things, like the novel pattern in Asian Night, the novel rhythms in Dream of You were entertaining, fun to see.
Yeah, so the last ones that I wanted to talk about was just the dual charts, the 20s. There's 3 20s. They all do a really good job of kind of combining like the wild and full modes kind of together from each of the songs. And I just enjoyed all of those higher level dual charts this time. That's pretty much it. That's kind of all I wanted to say.
Okay, I'll pick 3 because I got notes for 5 that didn't get covered. I really liked UFO Wild 20. It has like every little piece of fun tech you could cram into 20. It had those side switches. It had the 8th note streams. We haven't talked about this one yet, have we?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. Okay, those were the big ones. I mean, I'll
And it had
tag in
some
that the full
lifts.
20 does a lot of those things, not quite as good, but it has a lot of fun twisty motions that are fun to bring in. Swipe the Wild 21. I really liked the stream of the 24th runs. And the side switches were just super, super, super good. This was a side switch drop, and I really liked it.
I liked in
and-
Swipe that it's like 12th notes, like triplety, but it's not a lot of gallops. It's kind of like on the last drop, the
Right. It reminds me of that. I think it wasn't one of the official charts from Dota from ITG3. I think or it was ITG3 or ITG Rebirth had a speculative chart for Dota in it. It had to be Rebirth. It could not have been an official chart or an official song list. But that one was a blast. And it felt very much like that. I don't know if it was just because they both heard that same sound. I know that somebody, Felix, the artist on this song, worked with Bass Hunter a lot, and that's the sound I recognized. Other people have told me they've heard this song Swipe before. I guess it was popular like on TikTok videos a while back. Anyway,
Yeah, it looks like the song was released in 2022.
yeah. And then the last one I really liked was the Fiesta Night, the full 17. This thing is like so packed. It is, as I described it, the chart that the Wild 21 is overcompensating trying to be. It's got lots of different fun, like twisty motions in it. It's different every, like the first 15 seconds are different than the next 15 seconds and on and on. Like every time the music changes, the way the patterns work change. It's really, really fun for a little 17. It probably shouldn't be a 17. It should probably be an 18. But yeah, I think that's my notes on it. So Eesa, you had something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I thought we could make a new section of the podcast. Last episode was about edits. So I thought that we could say like which ones we've been having the most fun with over the last month. I mean, there's some step artists that everyone knows and loves. You can talk about them and which one you recommend, but I kind of picked some more obscure ones that I would recommend to people. Panaman made a step chart to Orbit that's a 21, and I think it is so good. It's really got a fun time with brackets. So I would definitely recommend that. I don't know. I guess the easiest way to search it is by searching the chart maker. There's not that great of ways to sort edits yet. I wish that they would like add some of that. But if you search for Panaman, play his orbit chart.
We got some things coming in on the testing that we're testing right now to find stuff like a little easier.
Sort by difficulty or sort by like thumb ups or sort by like type, wild or doubles. Any sort of that would be great. And it seems like, I don't know, I don't think it goes all the way down the list. It seems like it kind of gets stuck at some point. But yeah, so I recommend that one. And then Night Moves has like a bunch of charts. And my favorite one, I have like 3 that I downloaded for Night Moves. Everyone likes making Night Moves charts. I recommend the It's Only Dano 24. It's got such fun crossovers, and it's just a really good stamina training too. Like as far as pushing the limit, I think edits are good for that. This is good for this episode too for that. I like to do the harder ones like that, and it can also help if you have like a mental block. Sometimes you just like your mind doesn't want to do it because you already know that you suck at this. but if you're like you can do it. Look, you just did this edit that's like the same thing. And then maybe you can go back and you've improved enough or gotten over that mental block to be able to do it. But yeah, I recommend that one. Just be prepared to cross over. It's Only Dano Night Moves. And then my third one that I'm going to recommend right now is by Nat8. And it is a 25 step chart to Melancholy Vision, which I love that song. Let's get more edits to it. It's basically just, it's like a lot of stamina, a lot of fast stuff, but it's really fun. So if you want to challenge, those are some good challenging ones. I mean, there's some really hard ones that people have made, but I don't I don't know if I recommend that many of them. A little of them are a little too not makey sensey. But
yeah, my
I
favorite
mean, that can be good to train with too.
My favorite edit is the one that Zom wrote. It's like kind of
the crab rave one.
No, it's not that one. That's the one Cube made that one. That one is insane. The one Zom made for In My Dream or whatever, Into My Dream.
Right.
But yeah, it's like kind of a stamina, but it's not really too stamina-y. It's like a 22. And then there's Gargoyle, which is like a 26. It's just one long stream. And then there's the actual Gargoyle full mode edit now. That's like, it's what, 28, 27? It's almost all just a stream. It's kind of like the Pump It Up chart. for the doubles chart, the D24 or whatever. It's kind of like
my,
that.
My stamina is too bad. I can't do those stream for the whole sun ones.
I'm stuck forever just playing qualifiers and new content until Red October is done. But once that's done, I'm just gonna eat all of Rice Steve's hard wild quasi edits like candy, because that's fun, easy break difficulty for me. And some of my favorite charts are like hard 18s and 19s and some of the easiest wild charts. So that to me is just gonna be like sight read every one of those, and that'll just be like one session, and then playing them once again like a month later will be another session. I'll have a lot of fun. So that's my recommendation. Play all the Rice Steve hard wild edits. It's a great, I played a few of them, and they're a great bridge for, they're kind of in the middle, and I really like that. They're for players where, I mean, he wrote them for himself, but he likes to ask people for feedback on them because he wants them to be good.
And I've just been selfishly grinding leaderboard points instead of playing any edits, but I need to because they sound fun.
You got to be in the Bite top 8, right? Oh wait, you're not going to Bite
next year, maybe.
But for tournament prep, you have to play all the songs, not just qualifiers. Well, so I'm only playing 21s and up, since only 21 and up in Red October.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, that means it's only like 100 some charts instead of 400.
Yeah.
Probably more. Probably like 200.
Too bad next year they're going to be edits.
I did write a Rainbow Rave Parade full edit a long time ago, and I recommend it. Shameless plug.
Yeah, we need more full edits.
Yes, we do. And team edits. We need more team edits for sure. All right. Well, while we're adding little tidbits to the podcast, there's one that I want to. I've been meaning to bring up, and I keep forgetting month after month, and I'm going to. I'm now going to inflict it upon everyone. It is a, hey everyone, let's all submit this song that I demand you listen to once to the submission form. It's my recommended song for the. That I put on the song sheet. And I put it on a couple months ago. It's called Red Wine Supernova by Chappelle Rowan. And
I love that song.
Huh? Oh, you've heard it?
I love that song. Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah. Somehow it showed up in my girlfriend's feed the day it came out, like that it released. And it's been on like my main playlist. I hear it every few days, and I would love to be able to step to it. And it's like not giant enough. I haven't looked into the licensing at all. But yeah, that is one, like, give it a listen. And if you think it's an amazing chart that they could make a little easy, like 19 or 20 wild chart too, then submit it too. This is a chance for anyone else to plug a song they really want.
Besides Max 300.
More Nano B-Son.
I was thinking of saying Starship Velociraptor, but like that one seems way less realistic to get into SMX.
I'm in the camp of everyone shouting for hardcore Tano C licenses because they're all like super fast, kind of Vocaloid. They sound like they'd be very difficult.
And now that we have edits in the game, we can. There's a lot of bait for that. Putting songs in the game that have edit bait in them is not a bad thing. All right, so there's a main topic for this podcast. 35 minutes in. Hey, Watersalads, what are you here for? What are we talking about?
You told me that we are pushing the limit, and that's all you told me. So I wrote some notes, and we're gonna talk about. I would assume playing hard stuff, competing in tournaments.
Yeah, pushing your body and mind to the limit, doing as best you can. It is about being competitive and being not just competitive, because it can just be about getting yourself to where you want to be. It can be being competitive against yourself, so to speak. But yeah, pushing yourself to the goals that you want to push as hard as you can. And so this has been on our to-do list since the podcast started, and we've just been kind of putting it on the back burner because it's one that you have to write a lot of notes out. And then I realized, let's not. Let's just do it. So we needed it. The drop happened last week, and we said, we still don't have a topic for this month. So I guess first question, the first thing to ask is like, we're defining. So I guess what we're going to say is we're setting the goal of pushing our body as hard as we can, right? We're going to set the goal, and we're going to say what our limits of pushing our limits are, right? So we might want to say what our health limits are and what our time constraints are. But first, we want to get the most out of our body. We would say or do we want to get the most out of our game? I guess that might be the first thing we have to define, right? Is do you want to get the most weight loss out of your workout routine, or do you want to get the most athletic performance in, or do you want to get the highest scores or the best tournament performance play style out of your play? Those are all different things you might be pushing for, right? It's something we're probably trying to optimize all of at once.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the beauty of this game is people enjoy it in so many different ways, right? You could just play quick play for 3 hours and have a crazy cardio workout, potentially a shoulder workout if you're holding the bar the whole time. But yeah, I guess if a tournament's coming up, then you're trying to push your competitive advantage, right? You're grinding qualifiers, perhaps, like I assume Zephyr is right now, or shoring up any weaknesses that you think you have, like the songs you're worst at, or if your stamina is lower than it should be right now, like playing the hardest stuff you can conceivably play every session until you feel a little bit more comfortable playing it, right? It's the same as like I know Dante avoided the 25s for a while because he didn't have anything. He didn't have everything APC'd before that. But then when he finally got all the 24s, he's like, well, I guess now I just have to grind 25s all session every time, which is crazy. But you have to get comfortable with the zone of proximal development where you're living, right? The limit that you're pushing.
Yeah, I've always said if you want to get good at playing hard stuff, you have to play more hard stuff. Like if your goal is to pass everything in the game up to including the 27s, like you just got to start approaching up to there and see where you're at. Because if you can't even pass like all the 24s or the 25s yet, you're gonna have to kind of stick there for a while. But if your goal is to pass all the hardest stuff, you have to play the hardest stuff because you have to get your body acclimated to it. You have to get like mentally to the point where you can do it. You just need to grind it. That's something that it kind of, for me, it was like there was a point where I finally like discovered I can do all of these hard stuff, but I just have to like actually do it. And it's just a mental thing at some point as well as a physical thing. You just have to decide like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to practice. I'm going to be focused in my practice and then just work towards it. Every session have like a goal that you can work towards. That's kind of been my thing for hard stuff.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. I'm something of a juggler. And I used to just juggle sometimes, and when I found time and I would kind of just mess around and I never got better at anything, I would just maintain. But I wanted to do fancier things or more balls or whatever. And so I had to like be very deliberate in my practice to get anywhere with a physical skill like that. And I think dance games are the same.
Yeah, I think while we're talking about things we do in the game, how you warm up, especially if it doesn't matter if you're talking about tournament or you're grinding out high scores or you're just trying to pass new stuff. How you do that first hour of play or half hour play, depending on how long it takes. Like I know sometimes for me, sometimes a really good warm up is 45 minutes. I won't stretch. I'll just start playing hard charts on like 13s that feel like just, not even a brisk walk. And then I'll slowly just escalate higher and higher. I'll just go up a difficulty, a chart until I'm actually playing what I felt like playing that day, which might be 24s or 25s. Sometimes that warm up is 30, 45 minutes, but that's what it takes to get me really in the zone and really pumping. Whereas, someone else, it might be that long a warm up is just going to, take away from their endurance from that set or make them less accurate because they're going to be mentally more tired from being bored of doing those easier charts.
Yeah, sometimes it takes me a long time to warm up, and I'll start low and work my way up. But honestly, some of the best sessions I've had for really hard stuff have been shorter sessions where I'll start like the other day, like what was it, when Arsene's Bazaar dropped. I played the full 26 as my very first song of the day. And that kind of just set my body like, okay, we're doing hard stuff. So you hit no warm up. Here's the 26. See how you can do. So, I mean, you got to find what works for you, because sometimes I can just go into like 24 pluses and with no warm up, and then I'll have like a good like 45-minute to an hour session. But usually that makes me kind of get tired faster. So if your goal is to have more stamina, like longer sessions, then definitely I would recommend doing a slower warm up. But just you have to figure out what works for you or what works for your goal, especially for that session. There's all sorts of different things for warm up.
Yeah, for me, it's always like my body does not want to move at first. But I won't start that easy. I start at like 21s.
Yeah. And as you improve in skill as well, you can start higher and higher. Just your body gets used to it, I think.
I've definitely been trying to put hard stuff in like every time since I've been trying to get good at hard stuff. Like even if I'm tired, I'll end up playing 24s at least. 24s have almost moved out of the hard stuff category for me since I've been playing so much of them.
I think for me, warm up depends on how much time I have for the session, right? These days, I'm on a good schedule, like a very deliberate schedule with my wife and the baby that we have. To like alternate mornings for workouts. So I get a solid like 90 minutes to 2 hours. And so I could take more, 20 minutes to warm up maybe, instead of like if I only have an hour, I'll keep the warm up to 5 or 10 and then try and get into whatever I'm working on.
So I guess the next thing on the how we manage our workout is one thing I'll do that I notice I do a lot is if I'm pushing a really hard song, say for me, a 24 is really tough, whether it be full or wild. After that, I might do one or two attempts at that chart, or if it's a tournament, I'll just play that set against my opponent, and I'll try to, I'll play through those tough ones, and then I need to play a couple easier charts just to like settle out my legs. It's like I pushed myself super hard, and before I can push it again, I almost have to like do something to my muscles to put them in like that reset state. My cardiovascular system can do that 24 again, but all of my muscles almost need to have that easier load put on them before I do it again. Do any of you experience that?
Definitely. The other day I had a session I was trying to upscore Determinator on Wild, which is hell. I don't recommend it. I played it maybe 3 or 4 times in a row, and then afterwards my legs felt like they were filled with concrete, and I needed to play some like 19s or some 19s or 20s to just move the blood back out of the legs, just cool down for a sec before I played anything else too hard.
Cooling down. Hey, that segues into our next little point. Your environment. Do you have good airflow over your body to let your sweat work? Is your environment a good temperature? Is there a lot of ambient sound? You're not going to be able to play as accurately if there's a lot of noise, like we were talking about earlier. These loud arcade locations. you're going to have to play a lot more visually, and you're not going to do as well on quiet, slow parts. I mean, the answer is be comfortable and feel cool, and you're gonna do better. I tend to not turn on my little fans that I have on my setup until I played a couple songs and I feel my sweat start to come in, but that's because I'm not getting warm yet. I also have my AC cranked in the summer the whole time, and it just never gets cool enough in my house because I live in a
You
super hot
also
desert.
live in the desert, so you have like zero humidity.
Yeah,
That plays a huge role. Like where I live, like in this room, it's a tiny little bedroom. Even with the furnace fan like blasting and a fan in the doorway blasting on like full, it gets so freaking humid in here when I'm playing, just from my body, my perspiration. And then the pad gets really sticky, but I've learned to just live with it. Like, I do all the things I can to mitigate it, but it's not enough. But I just kind of adapt.
So I guess that brings up the next thing we can mention. We can segue right into other ways to keep yourself cool. The clothing you wear. I mean, I used to normalize shirtless for a reason, and Twitch will not allow that due to changes that have been happening over the last year and a half. So this is basically the minimal amount of clothing I can wear to keep myself cool and moving fast. And what you can bet when I'm not on stream, I'm wearing less. Word, I've seen you play in as little as very short, what looks like boxers, but I think they're just really short running shorts, right?
If you see me playing in what looks like boxers, it is boxers.
Okay.
Yes. It's like these just really small, short boxer shorts. I'm always shirtless, basically, because it's so freaking hot. And sometimes I'll play in the skirt that's basically exactly the same kind of skirt that Zephyr's wearing right now. But yeah, if you need to have something a little longer than short boxers, I definitely would recommend like a mid-length skirt like that, because not having that like shorts like in the middle of your legs, like having that extra airflow is insane. Like, there's a reason people that live in the Middle East wear like long like robes and dresses instead of pants. It's because the airflow is like 10 times better.
But listen to Word. If you're a man, it's still okay to wear a skirt for dance games. It is an amazing tech to unlock. They're just less physically restrictive. As soon as I was out, I was wearing skirts on stream. It is just so, having that extra skin exposed to the air is wonderful. Eesa, I do not understand why you wear leggings. They are so hot.
See, I am the opposite of you guys. I do not agree with that. I will only wear tight, leggings or shorts, tight shorts.
I feel like you're
because I
suffering
don't
from
want
fashion.
any skin rubbing together. No.
Oh, okay. I live with the thigh clap. Every now and then you will hear a clap sound on my stream, like once every couple songs, and I will just own that. I will say, yes, that is happening.
For me, mostly it's about the headband. I've learned that a headband will keep sweat out of my eyes and my face.
Headband
I definitely need
mandatory.
that. And then if it's a super long session, I
Hair
have
too.
wristbands
My hair's
too.
always getting in my eye. I should start doing that.
Wristbands mandatory if playing full.
Some people wear hats instead of headbands.
I definitely wear the hat occasionally if I'm trying to APC something, because I'm like channeling Andy 457 with the backwards hat.
I will say though, on the topic of like the comfort of your environment, like maximizing that, if you're preparing for a tournament, I'd recommend getting outside of your comfort zone, right? Because you may not have any control over the environment that you'll be playing in. So like I would, even if you're playing singles mode, try and play on P2 sometimes if you never play on P2, or go to the arcade. I'm serious. I know it sounds like
No. I'm guilty. I'm always playing on P1 side, and every time I'm in a tournament, I play on Games Done Quick. Like, we realized for camera perspective reasons, it made more sense for Ches to be over here and for me to be over here. And I did. That's why I failed. The one song I failed was because I was facing the wrong direction.
like last year at Byte, I chose P1 side against Dante deliberately because he always plays on P1. Not that it would throw him off that much, but every little tiny advantage, adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I was thinking about that when I was at Dave and Buster's. I said it'd be good to just, even if you have your own home setup, just go out if you have access somewhere else every once in a while at least, just to make sure that, your setup isn't necessarily good just for you, but it's similar to what you'll find out there in other places.
All right, I think that's it for clothing, right? And yeah, having your setup be similar to stock if that's important to you.
And just have at least 3 towels on hand, at least 3.
And buy
Yeah.
a fan.
Who was talking about who wrote down compression socks? That's got to
I
be
wrote down all of these
Watersalads, right?
notes.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Hey. Speaking of pushing things, I got these guys. I got to wear knee braces. I tore a meniscus when I was 19 years old, and then did it again like a year and a half ago. And now I'm just always wearing flexible knee braces, or I'm gonna tear them again. I got to wear those on stream now, and it makes a huge difference. It means I went from constantly scared I was gonna do something to everything is just held in together, and now I can push myself. And finding the right ones was a big deal. I went through a few different pairs before I settled on the ones that felt comfortable enough that they weren't slowing me down. They do slow me down a little bit, but when the alternative is an injury, that's the limit. We're pushing the limit. We're not breaking the limit. And that's you said compression socks. That's a way to keep your blood up and going through your legs. I would say getting your medical issues figured out is a great way to push yourself. I had huge blood flow issues in my legs before I started getting surgeries done. I had those torn meniscuses I was always compensating around. I had a giant endocrine deficiency that caused me, before I started this little transition, to be very performatively weak and have very little stamina compared to what I have today. And that was all just chemical deficiency. There's like 1,000 things that might be holding you back, that might be like a doctor's visit or a little bit of sports medicine or what's the word I'm looking for? Compensatory clothing away from you doing a lot better. Hey, one last thing about clothing, shoes. How many of us were wearing the wrong shoes forever? I used to wear tennis shoes when I played until I got my SMX machine, and everyone was telling me, hey, why are you wearing shoes that weigh 3 times what you should be wearing?
I have always been like in the forefront of whatever the like shoe of the moment is. So even way back in the day, I always had whatever the shoe of the moment was. That was what I was wearing. So I've always had decent shoes.
I was a little DDR freak troll. I still didn't know I was wearing the wrong shoes.
Yeah, I had the Nike Frees, the 5.0s, and then I had the Puma Tapers for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still addicted to the Nike Frees.
Nike Free Flyknits, they're so good.
They're just the best, the 2018 ones.
They're so light.
Like,
Yeah.
I've tried lots of other shoes, and like the ones that you're using, like the Zeros, I don't like them. But the Nike Free, I mean, you just have to find what works for you. But yeah, a light shoe is definitely best.
Just whatever
There's like 6
works.
common ones that are all really good, and chances are one of those is going to be good for you.
Yeah, just whatever works for you, but the one common thing should be that they should be fairly light. Like whether or not you want them to have like padding in the bottom, which most people do. I personally don't. Like my Zero shoes are just a like tiny thin rubber sole and no insert. But some people want that slight little bit of padding on the bottom because they think it helps with the like rebound. This. Yeah. But I think just whatever works for your play style and whatever like priorities that you think is important, as long as I think it's light. I think that's really the only thing we would say, that everyone should have light shoes, not anything heavy.
I want something with a bigger sole because my feet are so small compared to some of you guys. If I had like the Zeros, it also makes it way harder for me to hit brackets. So the Nike free runs have like a little more sole, but not too much. I can still feel the differences in the pad height, but I can hit brackets.
Yeah,
I
for
think
me,
I just
the biggest
sorry.
reason I went for the zeros is because they had like the thinnest possible sole from like an actual tennis shoe. While the sides and top of the shoe are still very like they hold your foot really tight. But I just wanted to be able to feel every teeny little like screw on the top of the pad and everything. And like even when I'm wearing the same kind of shoes out and like every day, I can feel every single little pebble that I step on, every tiny little crack, and that's the most important to me personally is just feeling the whatever I'm stepping on with my soles of my feet.
Hey,
Last
speaking
time I
of,
went shoe shopping for dance game shoes, my only requirement was the heel of the running shoe had to be not insanely massive. I mean, so many running shoes are like gigantic heel that tapers down to no toe, you know.
Yeah, we're not running. We're not leaning forward like running. So having that the heel drop doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion.
I missed something about controlling your environment, especially for private owners. I think Watersalads, you mentioned potentially having children. Eesa, you had kids in the house until recently. I have this new orange blur that's just constantly zipping around in my peripheral vision when I'm playing. Accounting for distractions or mitigating them is kind of going to be a big deal about like preparation or pushing your at home, and then being able to handle them at in your competition settings is going to be a big deal. I don't know if there's any advice I can give on that, if there's any of you can, because to me, like it's there's no good way to deal with any of them, right? Like you can ask people that you live with, hey, don't make noise at this time, pretty please. And if they're cool about it, they're cool about it. And if they're not, they're not. And you can try to sequester pets, but if you got two loud corgis, you got two loud corgis. If you got kids that need attention, you got kids that need attention.
Yeah, definitely unavoidable sometimes to have distractions in your environment. But if, like you said, if you can wrangle dedicated time with no distractions, that's kind of ideal, especially when you're trying to get like as close to your limit as possible.
But then when you go to the arcade, you got to be able to tune it all out better than the other person, and that's part of that competition experience. Like maybe part of the reason you beat Dante is he wasn't as good at tuning all that out as you were.
Yeah, being
Okay.
flexible to different cabs, different environments, different random noises in the background can help.
All right. So talk to me about these compression socks.
I love compression sock. So I don't watch a lot of sports. I never have. But every so often I'll see basketball because my in-laws watch a lot of basketball. Go Celtics, I think. And you if you watch any of the NBA, you'll see almost every player has at least one compression something on like their arm or both arms or their legs. And I was like, what are these people wearing? It turns out they're all compression thingies. And I was like, well, if they're good enough for professional athletes, they must be doing something. Like they can't be a hindrance. They can't be useless. There's something to it.
You got to be careful though that you don't have like your cognitive bias. Just because people that are successful use it doesn't mean it necessarily is part of their success. It could be that they're successful in spite of it. So you got to be careful on some of those things.
Sometimes if you just blind faith believe in something, the placebo effect will carry you forward. And
Sometimes that's enough.
Sometimes the placebo is enough.
But what do you think that they're doing that helps you, I guess? Because I've never tried anything like that.
maybe a slight stamina increase of like my legs don't get tired quite as fast. But honestly, it's more about like having a dedicated like outfit for dancing to get me in the mind. It's like a costume, like you put on like a uniform. You put on like Eesa is a doctor. I'm sure when you're like wearing doctor clothes as a doctor, you feel more like a doctor. Like so it's for me, it's more like part of my uniform to go dance as well as I can dance, kind of thing. Kind of a mindset trick.
It's
I mean,
like it's that
I would
almost
just
part of the
not if I
ritual.
could. Keeping white coats clean is impossible. Why?
So the compression, though, I think the idea around those is that it's supposed to help improve blood flow to your legs. Does anybody know exactly?
I trust you. I don't know.
I would assume it improves blood flow everywhere because
Yeah,
it's
compression stuff. Okay, since I'm a medical doctor,
Let's listen to the doctor. Yeah.
compression stuff, yes, is to improve blood flow so that you don't get blood clots. But I mean, it just improves
Okay,
blood flow.
so yeah, that makes sense. But is it one of those things where if you're already healthy and you're not suffering from any of those symptoms, is it something that it's not going to make a noticeable difference? It's more of if you're susceptible to like blood clots, that will help prevent them. Is it more of that kind of thing?
I don't know if it's really useful for like young people or athletes. I've never looked into that. But yeah, it's mainly for like people who are susceptible to them, who have some risks, or like if you have a little risk and you're doing something risky, like sitting on a long plane ride for a long time.
That's me. I'm at risk for blood clots. I just wear the thigh highs though. They're just easier. They're cuter. They're harder to put on, but honestly, like whatever.
But yeah, if an
Better blood
athlete is
flow.
like working out, their blood's already flowing pretty hard. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think the concept is it's holding everything in, so the blood has to circulate faster, like it's keeping your blood pressure up. I just don't know if that's realistic because if your heart's constantly pumping at like 160 BPM, like it is when we're doing what we're doing, I suspect your blood pressure is plenty high. Like keeping your blood pressure high is important. Like stay hydrated. That's important. That's on our list. Keep a lot of water in your system. Keep salts in your system. Keep your salt balance good. Make sure you got the right amount of sodium and potassium, and a tiny bit of magnesium. But really, your diet's gonna take care of that.
Try not to have an aortic aneurysm because that will definitely lower your blood pressure. So
yeah, don't have one of those.
That's something I have to keep an eye on is if my blood pressure gets too low.
Oh yeah. I've got the testosterone blocker that also completely throws off all my salt balances. That's why I thought to put these on the notes. Okay, and then hey, we're talking into what you put in your body. How about your diet?
Hey, whatever I want.
I like to grab some calories before I start playing. I like to have something in me. I'm really bad about sciencing it and like deciding like, okay, I'm gonna have carbs right before I play, or okay, I'm gonna see like if simple sugars are good. I always have caffeine in me at the start of a set because I have terrible habits. But
caffeine's good. It's one of the most studied
caffeine is good for
supplements
working out.
for exercise. So if we're going to talk we could talk a little bit about the sciencey parts. The one big thing, if you're trying to push yourself, is go easy on stuff that's high in fat, because that sucks so much energy out of your body to digest the fats that you're just going to feel bloated and tired for like 2 hours. So for about 2 hours before you're going to go really hard, try not to eat much stuff that's high in fat. You can eat pretty much as you want for carbs, as much as you want for protein. That's not really a problem. Just lay off the fats. Keep the fats for afterwards.
Doctor, you said you concur?
I like to play after I eat either nothing, usually, or just carby stuff.
Okay. Oh, hey. Speaking of other stuff we put in our bodies, take your meds. There's a certain vasodilator I like to take whenever I'm playing. I know my buddy McKeebler's always taking it. In fact, I'm a little due. What else do we take that might?
I will say as far as pushing yourself to the limit, I wouldn't really recommend using those kind of substances like THC, especially. It's just unless you're something that you're very used to and it's something that's a regular part of your life, it's gonna affect you probably too much to be able to push yourself to the limit.
Yeah, oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
something definitely something you have to work into.
It's yeah, I think we had this discussion the last time. We said like if you like ingest any chemicals, if you're doing THC, if you're doing I'm trying to think of other ones because like the rest are illegal in most places, and I would recommend extremely strongly against all of them. But if you're going to consider them, definitely don't do them just because you're playing. Just like caffeine, don't drink caffeine just because you're playing StepManiaX and you want to get that little extra. To me, it's not worth that altering your body chemistry to eke out that little bit. Now, maybe some people would, maybe if you're really at the top of the game and you think that's what it's going to do, right? Like you are Michael Phelps and you say, you know what? Having my veins be a little bit wider while I'm playing is worth like doing everything. But like Michael Phelps was already a stoner. He didn't just decide like, okay, I'm going to do this for this 2% performance boost. Um, so uh, yeah, I think that's sage advice. You don't want to don't form any kind of like testosterone supplements. That's other ones, right? Like Eesa, I'm sure you have to hand out prescriptions for a lot of stuff that it would be normally prescribed to someone for like everyday good healthy stuff that you wouldn't want to necessarily try to get on just for better sports performance, right? Like testosterone, human growth hormone. Um, I
Yeah.
can't think of the other ones.
Those things, like, okay, I'm interested in like weightlifting and bodybuilding and stuff, like
Injected painkillers.
as a spectator, but those kind of like chemical and additives for your body, those are really good once you like get to where you're literally at your maximum genetic limit. So that's something that I'm not sure any dance gamer has ever gotten to their physical dance or physical limit. There's always harder stuff that they can still work on. There's more stuff. There's more other things they can do. But I would just say all those other chemical stuff is like once you're at your maximum genetic and personal potential, that's probably the only time you should ever consider that kind of stuff.
And I would say you're never going to hit that spot anyway, because once you're hitting that spot of your body's potential, you're probably already passing points where you're incidentally injuring yourselves in ways that you don't want to, right? Like part of the limit is how many hours a week can you play? And the answer is really somewhere between, for most healthy people, between 10 and 18 hours a week. More than that, and you're going to start doing your damage to your body. Most people start getting diminishing returns on aerobic activities at somewhere between 10 and 12 hours a week, and up to 18, you're just burning more calories, and then you're tending to damage. This is oh gosh, who was citing this? I think it was Rice Steve had a bunch of research when he came on the podcast, and we were talking about aging. But I think this was also a back and forth with you, Eesa. What what's the how do you stop playing? Like, is this you stop playing when you push how hard you feel? Because for me, it feels more like 8 hours. If I'm playing more than 8 hours a week, I'm starting to get sore starting that next session.
Well, it just depends on the person. Like I'm like always sore. That's some people are lucky like that.
That's estrogen and joints.
But I mean, also weightlifting is important, and that can help you push your limits even more. I mean, sprinters, which is kind of like what we're trying to do here, have like giant leg muscles. And so like building your legs or your arms or your core also, especially if you're trying to play doubles or crossovers, core is definitely important too, but you want to build all the muscles to be able to really push your limit more. But I mean, you just don't want to push yourself to exhaustion. If you're tired, stop.
So a big part of like the weightlifting is in addition to the muscles, it's also recruiting more neurons, like more motor neurons or whatever, and it's also strengthening like your connective tissues, like your tendons and ligaments and your actual bones as well. So that resistance training is really important for all of that stuff to prevent injuries. And then, yeah, if you're feeling like sick because you're so tired and exhausted, you should be stopping. We've had a couple people, at least one recently in the Discord, talk about basically overexerting themselves and ending up having to go to the hospital basically to get some diagnostic work done on what's going on. And that's still ongoing. The person that I'm talking about, it's still ongoing. They haven't really figured exactly why they're feeling so horrible, but there's definitely some very serious symptoms that have been mentioned. If you're having any symptom that's not normal, you should definitely stop, and you should probably talk to a doctor about it. Definitely don't be afraid to see a doctor just because it's expensive.
There's also a common rule, and once again, we got the doctor here. I've always heard if you feel sick but it's only above your neck, you're good to push yourself as long as you stop when you start feeling really tired.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start feeling it like in your throat and your chest, that's when you like just take it easy. Take it way lighter than normal, or don't do that exercise at all.
Yeah, agreed. Working out is okay when you're sick, as long as you're not like exhausted or, I mean, I work out when I'm sick, but I mean, if you want to try to, it could possibly delay getting fully better though. So you just have to weigh like the value of working out versus maybe feeling a little worse a little longer.
Because are you inducing your body to offset that white blood cell red blood cell balance, or is it just your
It's just more
body
like
has
the
to repair
fatigue,
itself?
like your body is working on getting better, so you're taking some of the energy towards something else.
You're
and-
recovering from that other thing now instead of the thing that it was focused on. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it is okay
Okay.
to work out when you're sick, or you can just take it lighter.
Yeah, I've looked into that before, and I heard it's pretty similar to what Zephyr said. If it's like congestion or like allergy kind of symptoms, that kind of stuff, then you just do whatever you're comfortable with. If it's more like GI stuff, you probably don't want to work out if you have like a upset tummy, because that could end badly.
I always say I'm going to fill in the easy charts, and then I just end up like doing computer homework.
That's more interesting than the easy. No, I'm just kidding.
Kind of is.
Yeah.
I did want to say one thing about food. I'm late to the party. The topic already changed,
It's
but
fine.
for tournaments, I've found it's really weird with food because tournaments are usually on the weekends, either during the day or in the evenings, and we're not all used to playing like on and off all day.
And you're traveling, you don't have your home diet, so you're probably eating fewer veggies because most of the food you can eat out doesn't have good options there.
Although shout out to Paranoia Boy and myself are both vegetarians and we're really good at the game. I don't know if there's a connection there. Dante also smokes meat live on his stream, so clearly there's not a strong connection there. But
Senpai's a
veggies.
pretty meaty boy too. Yeah.
Meaty.
But yeah, at least last year at Byte, I think I had like a Cliff Bar like halfway through the day because it might be 8 hours of you don't know when you're gonna play next, so you can't just not eat for 8 hours and be weirdly lightheaded when you finally have to go dance.
Yeah, I would just recommend lots of carbs and lots of protein throughout the day if you're playing, especially at a tournament. Okay. Something else some people think is very important is like what they're drinking. Personally, I kind of just go with water. I don't worry too much about like salt and electrolytes. I kind of just keep that for when I'm done. I'll eat food, and that kind of takes care of it all. If you're going so hard that you're losing so much salt that you need to have something, then by all means do what makes you feel better, though. I don't think it's super important unless you're going for many, many hours.
Yeah, water and maybe coffee or tea for the caffeine that we already discussed, right?
Oh yeah.
If you're taking your caffeine, take your caffeine. But
Yep.
Yeah,
to
I
me,
do
it's
water.
water, or I'll occasionally. Yeah, I don't even do the sports drinks. They're just calories to me,
It's
or
mostly
flavored water.
sugar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although
I do. Oh, I was gonna say water and G Fuel. That's my caffeine sometimes.
I did set my current link line PB after one beer, so so sometimes it could loosen up your mindset, maybe, but I don't recommend exercising with alcohol.
Relax your
I don't
muscles, make them
recommend.
all slower.
I don't know. Round one, I tried to play DDR once after like one beer, and it was not happening.
Make all of those nerve impulses just a tiny bit slower.
I mean, when I was in like my early 20s playing, there's definitely been some times where it's at the barcade and we're very much imbibing. So it can work, but if you're trying to go hard, then I would say don't. But for just like casual, if you just want to have a good time, you can work it in there.
So
Just yeah.
speaking of what I was saying, it's hard to stay on your diet when you're traveling, and that will just tank your performance. And I don't know what the answer to that is, other than, if you know someone local, stay at their house and try to eat the home cooked meals that most closely approximate what you're used to. Or I don't know. I don't think our home cooked meals here are what Eesa and Ward are used to, but
They were good.
yeah. But I think the other thing that suffers even more than your diet when you travel is sleep. You are sleeping in a weird bed. You are probably sleeping in a different time zone at odd hours, and you're hanging out with your friends. You are getting like 5 to 7 hours of sleep when for dance game tournaments you should be getting 8 or 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah, my
It depends on the
recommendation
person.
my recommendation is stay at Zephyr's because everyone living there likes to go to bed late and wake up really late, so you can sleep in as much as you want.
But
Yeah,
it
we're not going
depends
to
on
wake
the
you up by
person
being
too.
like.
I mean, I only get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep most nights.
So your recommendation is to co-host this podcast so you can stay at my house.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work for too many people. I think that's great advice for the people it's already worked for. So make really good friends with other local people in Las Vegas. JJK was in the chat earlier. So yeah, getting good sleep is important. I play way better on the weekends because I woke up and slept, and I'm playing earlier in the day. We all have a cycle in the day of when we're most performance, and for me, it's a few hours after I've woken up. And that's from like if I slept like a ton. If I sleep like 10 hours in a night, I wake up just full of energy. Other people, that's too much, and they're gonna wake up with so much melatonin in their system, they're just gonna be groggy all day. And so
I
they
don't
need
think
to
I
wake
can
up
even
from
sleep that long.
yeah. Some people like.
I wake up
Rip.
like every 2 hours. I can't
Well,
sleep
I wake
through
up
the
every
night.
2 hours too, but I just keep going back to sleep.
Rip every parent.
Yeah.
I stopped getting more than like 6 or 7 hours of sleep as soon as I became a dad because you just can't. It just doesn't happen.
When I was a teenager, it would be like if I could get like 9 and then like 7. And that 7, I had the most energy in the world. It was like my body was primed and ready to go. But today it's just like I don't know. As I've gotten older, my body really wants as close to 8 as possible. And if I'm getting less, then it wants it made up. And it's not going to play well until I make it up.
Yeah, I haven't figured out when my best time to play is because my work schedule is like different every day pretty much. So just kind of deal with what I get dealt, Sometimes I'll work at 5 a.m. and I'll get home at like 3:30 and then I'll just play and I'll do really well. And sometimes I'll have to sleep for 5 hours. So it's just every day is different for me. So if you are able to figure out when your best time is, definitely do it. But just know that if you're like me, you might not be able to. I have such a hard time sleeping in the first place. So
Summer in general is really bad for me, and it probably is for anyone who lives like in a really hot place, because you're just exposed to constant heat all day. So it's not until you get home, or even you wake up. Like, Eesa, do you find this like you're just hot all the time, even when you've had that moment to cool down, because we live in this oppressive heat. So you don't really start feeling better until like September. Part of
Well,
why
yeah,
Red
I just
October is
keep
in
the
October.
AC on, like you said, and don't go outside.
Oh, see, I work outside, so it doesn't work. I was in the 115 a couple weeks ago. Oh, so fun. Ah,
Doctors don't work outside.
Doctors Without Borders do. Charity that GDQ supports. Anyway, okay, I think that's everything we had notes on. Can anyone think of anything else that might help you or preclude you? Do we want to talk more about like where you should stop? Basically, when things start to hurt, right? When you're super wiped, super tired, when your joints feel like they're going to start cramping.
Well, yeah, I think we can talk about there's a difference between being sore and tired and from like actual pain. Like there's things that people might think is like pain, but it might just be that, you've been playing for a while and you're just getting tired. Like that's
Yeah.
okay to keep playing as long as it's not painful.
Yeah, as long
I
as
think
you're not
that's the
like
biggest
exhausted
thing.
and hurting. But I mean, as far as pushing your limit, the important thing is consistency and like increase in intensity. Like you want to make it a priority, schedule it. This is happening, at least so many times a week, and keep working at the intensity of the songs or the higher intensity to what you want to get to.
Yeah, like in
Yeah.
weightlifting, it's called progressive overload. You have to get to a point, and then when that point is comfortable, you have to increase the difficulty, or else your body's just going to plateau.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely songs for me that are like session enders almost, because I'll play them once and I cannot play anymore after that, right? Like Summer on Wild, like I'm really bad at. I mean, the last
Really,
40% of the
I'm really
song is
bad.
just streams at 185, or
And
when I
that's why
used
I
to.
said that hypnosis edit. That hypnosis edit, you guys, if you're bad at Summer, because Summer is 185, hypnosis is 180. It's just a giant stream. It will get you there.
Noted. Yeah, like similar to, I used to push Winter on full a lot, and it would be the end of my session because I'd play it once or twice, and I'd have to like walk around my basement for a minute or two between attempts because I couldn't breathe, like it's too
Circular
much.
house layouts are great. If you can do a circuit, it's wonderful. I
Yeah,
pity
I
anyone who has to put their machine in their garage and like they got no space to pace and it's hot.
yeah, for me, sometimes putting the hard stuff in the middle or not so close to the end, sometimes that helps me progress because um, sometimes if I do only the hard stuff at the end of the session, I'm already tired and I can't really push myself for like my full, like,
Oh
do as
yeah,
well as
like
possible. But if it's more earlier in the session, I can actually put like all my energy into it and focus more on the technique and the form and not worry so much about the actual like endurance part. So if you're getting kind of plateaued, that's something that you can change up to see if that helps you progress.
right, like my flow, and I think you're talking about something like this, is you just work your warm up into pushing as hard as you can, and then you can always roller coaster off, go down, and then push again later if you've got that energy coming back.
Yeah, if I tire myself out really too early, like sooner than if I usually want to play like 2 hours at least, if I go too hard in the first hour and I feel like I want to end the session possibly, I can always go back down to easy stuff. And then I'm getting the benefit of pushing myself hard while I'm still fresh and getting that, the mental it's not just getting your body to work up to that stuff, it's getting your brain up to that, getting used to doing hard stuff too. So I'm still getting the good benefits of that. And then if I just need to take it easy for the second half of the session, that's always fine.
Yeah, I've definitely started working more in that flow that you're describing with minor success of, if it used to be a session ender, put it closer to the front, like get to the limit that you're trying to push as fast as is comfortable for you to get there after your warm up, and just work on it.
Yeah. Like coming from, I used to be a little more involved in the stamina community, but that's definitely something that I saw them talking about. It's like, you want to get to where you want to be like as fast as you can. You don't want to take, most people didn't really want to take like an hour to warm up. They said take 5 to 10 minutes, and then you should be at your maximum level and then able to work at that level for a while for most of your session. So that's coming from that side of the community. That's definitely kind of the recommendation from those guys. To just start a little bit below where you're gonna end up, warm up right up to there, and then just kind of stay there, stay at the hard stuff. And it's okay to fail. That's a really big part that we should probably talk about. Like if you want to get to where you're passing stuff that you're not able to pass, you're gonna have to fail a bunch first.
Oh yeah,
And that's
if you're
all
talking
part.
about just improving,
Yeah.
you've got to play songs that you're failing. That's probably the biggest value of the life bar in the game, is to tell you where your threshold of performance is, and you want to be playing songs where you fail them the first time you try them, and you have to play them 2 to 5 times to pass them. That's about right for getting better at the game as rapidly as possible.
That if you fail, like, don't stop. It's good to keep
Right.
going even if you failed, and
Right.
just like play it out.
Now, if you keep getting more and more tired each succession and your score is going down, go down a difficulty or switch to a different song because this song is tiring you out. But sometimes a song tiring you out is good because you're building your cardiovascular system. If you're able to play it 10 times in a row, that means you are playing that song for half an hour with the breaks in between. You're keeping your heart rate up for that long, and that's half a workout for most people.
Yeah, I think that also kind of plays into sort of what your motivation is for pushing your limits, right? I think a lot of people that I've seen with great success are mostly competing against themselves. They're just trying to push their own scores or their own stamina or their own whatever they
they're
can
trying
pass
to get
as far as they
places on the
can.
leaderboard. They're not competing against anyone particular. They just want to see that number advance. They want to see themselves do better, because realistically, unless you're in the top 25 on any given leaderboard, or maybe even the top 50, if you're really competitive, you're not going to feel like you're competing against other people unless you find someone in your local community who you can set as a rival, which is an option. But generally, you are going to feel like you're just self-improving, because that's what dance games are. Even when you're in a tournament against another person, it's not like your play is affecting their play. So you really are just playing against yourself the whole time anyway.
But then it's also helpful to see sort of where your peers' limits are, to sort of feel out where yours might be or where you could push, you know.
Especially for scores, right? Like I'm grinding these qualifiers and I see, I've got people beat on these other 2 scores, and yet they've just got me trounced on this other one. Maybe I need to grind this other one and figure out what I'm doing wrong. Perhaps watch a couple VODs of them playing it to see, okay, how am I getting the timing wrong on this chart, where I can unlock that extra 1,000 points and score better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did we exhaust the topic? Did we push the limit of pushing the limits?
I think so.
All right, we do not have next month's topic lined up. One thing we want to solicit, though, to anyone watching, it might not be next month's topic, but it is an upcoming topic. We want to solicit mini topics from the audience. So come onto our Discord, add us, talk to us any way you want to, and just pitch us suggested show topics, and we'll cover them for a few minutes at a time, and that's going to be one of our episodes coming up.
If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll see the comments if you just want to leave a comment.
Yeah,
And
I mean, you can
also-
DM us. We're easy to get a hold of.
Also, keep making edit charts, and you can message me recommendations, tag me, and say, hard ones, please. Make some hard stuff and tell me to play it.
Yep. You can find me, Word, and Watersalads on Twitch, and pretty soon you're going to be able to find Eesa on Twitch. Sometime in September, hopefully. We're working that out. Another coming soon podcast episode, Stream 2, how to set up a stream boogaloo. And
Have someone else set it up for you.
I like how on the Twitch guest star that we're all looking at, you're pointing up into the right towards me. So, Watersalads, is there anything else you want to shout out? I guess Bite. Well, you're not going to Bite. I need to shout out. Bite's going to happen. Find it on Twitch. It'll be somewhere. That's going to happen before the next song drop. So I gotta bring it up. Actually, the next song drop will probably happen during Bite. So yeah,
Probably.
I'll shout out Eclipse East is happening in December. I'm hoping there's going to be a stream. I still have to figure that out. But at the very least, there will be a regular SMX tournament and a women's tournament. And I'll shout out the winners, my How We Win friends, just because they help me push my limits. And they're a good
just
group
find
of,
the budget to fly
friends.
me out there. I'll run the whole stream. All right. Well, with that, I guess we're gonna wrap up the show. Word, you push all the buttons. Do you want to take us out this time?
Yeah. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back here in about a month. Until then, keep on stepping, maniacs.